Book of Inspiration, Chapter 1. These are the words of Te in Cosmon. I am light, I am central, but boundless, saith Jehovah. I give thee of my light, and when thou hast received, thou criest out, Behold, I am wise. Thy corpor I made, in which to localize thee, to mature thine entity. Without me, thou hadst not come to life. Thou art as the end of a ray of light from my person, and thou art focalized in thy corporeal body. I am to thy spirit, as is the sun to a ray of light. I am the light that illuminateth thy soul. The ray of light that goeth out of me taketh root in mortality, and thou art the product, the tree. Thou wert nothing, though all things that constitute thee were before. These I drove together and quickened, thus I made thee. After the manner I made thee corporally, so made I thee spiritually, intellectually. As out of corpor I made thy corporeal body, so out of my light, which is my very self, I built thee up in spirit, with consciousness that thou art. Thou canst not add one jot or tittle to thy corporeal self, of thine own will and assertion. It is by and through me that the process of absorption by the blood addeth unto thee. Thy blood floweth in thy veins because of my quickening power upon thee. When I withdraw my hand, thou diest. Life and death are of me. All thy corporeal part is, therefore, of me and through me. Even so is thy spirit of me also. And as thou cannot not add a fraction to thy corporeal self, neither canst thou add a fraction to thy spiritual self. Out of myself groweth thine spirit. Neither canst thou of thine own self manufacture or acquire to take unto thyself one new thought, nor idea, nor invention. All thought and knowledge and judgment which thou hast, I give unto thee. As the whirlwind gathereth up dust and driveth towards a center, so is the plan of my universe. Thou art as a center. All things come to thee from without. Thy knowledge, as well as thy corporeality, come to thee from without, from that which is external to thyself. Chapter 2. Thou art an inspiration made, saith Jehovah. I made thee a corporeal body and wrote upon it. The result thou art. And I made thee susceptible, so all things external to thyself could write upon thee. The sum of thee is thy knowledge. It is with thee, so it is with all men, and with all the living which I created. Nor is there any knowledge in the world but what I give. All of it is my inspiration. Man say, by certain measurements, I teach my son mathematics. I am back of all, saith Jehovah. I taught thy father's fathers and all who were before him. The sum of all man's knowledge is but man's capacity to perceive my light. I made thee my servant to teach thy son by certain measurements. This was the road I made to reach thy son's soul. Man said, I know more than did my father, and yet my father knew more than did his father. We reason, digest, we compound from one another. I am the all external. From me are smaller lights focalized, saith Jehovah. A man holdeth a condescending lens to the sun, and lighteth a fire thereby. But yet the lens containeth not the heat. After such manner hast thou accumulated knowledge, yet no knowledge was that of thine own beginning, but all came from me. I gave it all. The increase in knowledge now upon the earth, with all the races of men, but only the increase I gave, is only the increase I gave. Man of himself created none of it. Neither canst thou create one thought, nor idea, nor impulse. Thou canst only gather together from my harvest, or from me in person. Chapter 3. The eye of man I made to obtain knowledge by light, but the ear of man I made to obtain knowledge from darkness. And within darkness, saith Jehovah, the power of touch I gave to man, whereby he might learn of things, their adaptability and compatibility and incompatibility with himself. There are the corporeal doorways. These are the corporeal doorways I gave unto thee, O man, whereby thou mightest receive knowledge from me and my creations, consciously to thyself. Through these thou art constantly impregnated. Through these thy soul accumulated knowledge of my works. Whatsoever is charged upon these doorways of thy soul is inspiration. When thou seest bread, thou art inspired to eat. When thou seest a horse, thou art inspired to ride. When thou touchest a nettle, thou art inspired to pain. Yet, in all cases, thou must have practice before thou canst comprehend the inspiration that cometh to thee from these external things. Man saith, Today I remember my friend, whom I saw not for many a year. Jehovah saith, I made thee as a storehouse, and as a book that was written before. And I gave to thee power to reread thy stores and thy book within thy soul. This was the accumulated inspiration which I had previously given thee. When thou art fevered and entranced, or in diverse action from thy usual bent, thy soul turneth into these stores, and thy memory come forth wonderfully. This is the manifestation of inspiration which I had previously given thee. I made thee that thou shouldest receive inspiration, not only from the world external to thyself, but inspiration from the members of thy body. My impression upon thee is inspiration. But thou must realize my inspiration in order to know me. An idiot holdeth fire in his hand, and it giveth him pain, but yet he knoweth not the cause, nor whence the origin of the pain. So also I come to thee and give thee inspiration, but thou discernest not me. Another man discerneth my presence and my inspiration. He heareth me speak, he seeth my person. Yet I am with both alike. One man openeth his mouth to speak, and behold, my words come forth. And yet another saith, No man knoweth Jehovah, none have heard him. One man is sensitive as a plate for a picture, and he catcheth my light instantly, and knoweth it is from me. Another saith, A sudden thought struck me, but he discerneth not whence it came. Chapter 4. When the infant is young, my light is its first knowledge, saith Jehovah. It seeth me, it heareth me, and it seeth and heareth my angels. By the pressure of my light upon its corporeal eyes and ears, it learneth to see and hear corporally. This is the beginning of two senses which I created to grow parallel to each other and equal in strength. But the infant, being in the corporeal world, heedeth much more to things that appear to the corporeal senses than such as appeal to the spiritual senses. So that one person groweth up forgetting me and my angels, he is a skeptic. But another person groweth up, remembereth me and my angels, he is a believer. And behold, thou, O man, inquirest of them, whence came the idea of a creator and all person. And one of them answereth thee, it is inherent, it is natural. But the other answereth, it is folly, it came from darkness. But I say unto thee, O man, darkness cannot create an idea. Not even darkness would be known but for the light that I make beside it. Thou canst not imagine any animal under the sun which I have not created. Man said, I imagine a horse with a fish's head and fins. Whatsoever thou inventest, saith Jehovah, thou takest the parts of one of my creations and puttest them to another. Let this prove unto thee, if thou canst not invent a new living creature, that thy forefathers did not do so either in regard to me. Nevertheless, thou hast a thought, an idea of me and my person. And thou hast a thought and an idea of the spirits of the dead. By my presence and inspiration upon thee, I taught thee, I am that I am a person. By the inspiration and my presence of my angels, I taught thee of them also. My inspiration upon the bird causes it to sing. By my presence, I teach it to build its nest. By my presence, I color one rose red and another white. Proof of my person is in the harmony of the whole, and every one being a person of itself, perfect in its order. Chapter 5. Two kinds of voices have I, saith Jehovah, the silent voice and audible voice. All men I created susceptible to one or the other of my voices, and many to both. One man heareth my voice in the breeze, and in thunder, and in music. Another heareth my voice in the flowers of the field, and in the scenery of the mountains. Yet another feeleth my inspiration, and he skippeth up the mountainside, and tireth not on the way. He that seeth neither nor feeleth my inspiration goeth up the mountain in great labor. In proportion as man is clear in his corporeality and in his spirit, so discerneth him he my inspiration. And if he have great purity as well, then he shapeth my light into corporeal worlds. These I taught man to call my revealed words. Nevertheless, no corporeal man created I perfect, neither can any man reveal my words perfectly. But I created the way open unto all men to try to reveal me, according to the man's approximation to perfect manhood, So I reveal unto him by my presence and my words. According to the man's imperfection and manhood, so doth not my inspiration manifest on his senses. Perfect manhood created I possible and equal corporeal and spiritual senses. Strong corporeal senses and weak spiritual senses distract man from my presence and make him infidel to my person. Such man denieth my inspiration and the inspiration of my angels. He is a little more than a forest tree, which hath a trunk and many branches, but moveth not from his place. Chapter 6. I am one spirit, saith Jehovah. My quickening power is upon all the living. Because of this, they live and move. According to the different structure of the living, so is my inspiration manifested by them. One, as the hare runneth away in cowardice, as another, and another, as a lion is ferocious, another without judgment, as the serpent. And as to man, one is inspired to music, another to mathematics, another to seership, and so on. To all of these, I am the one and universal inspirer that moveth them all. According to their organic structure, so do they manifest my inspiration. The lowest of the living creatures made I the serpent, for I gave him an element capable of destroying himself. When the earth was encircled with poisonous gases, I created poisonous vines and weeds and trees and all kinds of herbs, rich growing upon the earth. Thus, from destroying gases and from the earth's substance, created I the vegetable world. And in that day, all growing things upon the earth which I had created were poison as to animal life. Then I created the serpents. Of all sizes created I them, and they were poison also. And the serpents I created were carnivorous, feeding upon one another. Self-impregnated created I them. Thus drove I the poison from the air down into vegetation, and thence into the animal world. Thus I purified the air of heaven. This was the first creation I created on this world. Then I overcast the earth with falling nebulae, and covered up the poisons growing upon the earth, and they were turned to oil and coal. Then I created a new creation, giving feet and legs and bones to the animals I designed for the earth. And when the earth was ripe for man, then I created him. Male and female created I those of the second creation. And man was dumb, like other animals, without speech and without understanding, even less than any other creature which I created. Nevertheless, I had given to man, and thus made him out of the dissolved elements of every living thing that had preceded him. And man took part of the first and second creations, after the manner of every animal on the earth. So created I man, with all the characteristics of all of them. So I created him. Male and female I created them. And man was unconscious of his creation, and not knowing whence he came, nor knew which he was his own species. And I sent an angel to man to teach him who he was, and to rouse him up to his capabilities, for which I created him. And my angels drew from man's side substance, and thus took on corporeal forms. And the angels dwelt with man as helpmates, to make man understand. Chapter 7. I created man even from the first, that he should learn to be an independent being, saith Jehovah. And when my angels had taught man speech, making man name all the animals in the world, after the names of the animals called themselves, I commanded my angels to come away from man for a season.
To my angels I said, behold, of all the animals I created in the world, to man only gave I the capacity to transmit knowledge to his brethren by words. And to man only gave I capacity to comprehend an idea of me, his creator. Nevertheless, I inspire all living animals which I created, but they know it not. I inspire the spider to make its net, the bird to build her nest, the wild goose to fly to the south before the winter cometh, the mare to neigh for her colt, the ant to lay in its stores, the bees to dwell in queendom, and so on. Every living creature do I move and control by my inspiration upon them. Males and females I inspire to come together at times and seasons, and then to live apart during gestation. These I keep before man as a lesson of the wisdom of my inspiration. To man I give liberty to acquire wisdom by observing the method of my work, as I manifest in other living creatures. I have also given man capacity to obtain to know my inspiration in contradiction from the inspiration he receiveth from his surroundings. To no other creature gave I this capacity. What cometh from me is without pain or injury to anyone, and with liberty to all. Such are my inspirations. When man witnesseth a battle, he is inspired to battle. When he witnesses peace and love, he is inspired to peace and love. What moveth man in consonance and wisdom and to life is my inspiration. What moveth man in disconsonance and folly and to death is inspiration from man's surroundings. I inspire the serpent to bite to death, for thus created I it. This is no sin, for it fulfilleth its labor. It is the remnant of the poison of other errors. Man I created not to destruction, but to life, wisdom, peace, and love toward all. When man practiceth virtue, wisdom, truth, and love unto all, his inspiration is from me direct. When a man practiceth destruction and selfishness, his inspiration is indirectly from me, through the conflict of his surroundings, and thus becoming evil instead of good. By direct inspiration do I move upon all the animals I created. This I also created possible unto men, separate from indirect inspiration. Chapter 8. Although all inspiration goeth from me to all the living directly, yet I also created man susceptible to indirect inspiration from all my creations. Whatsoever receiveth from me direct is in harmony with me. The lily and the rose I created perfect in their order. The female bird I inspire to build her nest in season, perfect in her order. Even so it is with all my created beings, save man. All the rest err not in the order which I made them, and they all fulfill the glory for which I made them. But because I made man capacitated to receive inspiration from all things, he manifesteth both evil and good according to his birth and surroundings. So is man good or bad? Nevertheless, I created man with the capacity to comprehend this also, for I designed him from the first to work his way up to the Godhead, understanding all below him. And I sent my angels to man, teaching him how to distinguish the difference in the inspirations upon him, that he might govern himself accordingly. And my angels saith unto man, Become thou one with thy Creator. These are his direct inspirations. To love thy Creator above all else, and thy neighbor as thyself. To give delights only, and not pain. To kill not. To do not violently against his creatures. To be considerate of the liberty of all the living. To interdict not the happiness and hope of others, only where thou cannot return a transcendent glory or hope in place thereof. For these are the direct inspirations from thy Creator. But these are the evil inspirations, O man. These come from thy birth and surroundings, formerly called Satan. To kill, to slander, to punish, to destroy Jehovah's created beings, to strive for thyself above another, to gratify thy flesh at the expense of purity or wisdom. To be false to Jehovah, to be false to thyself, to speak falsely, to covet another's, to cohabit in the gestation period. To engage in strife, or to aid and abet conflicts, which are the fruit of the carnivorous food transmitted in birth.